They don't come at you with knives. They come at you with smiles. We are taught to fear obvious threats, the stranger in the alley, the villain in the story. But what Carl Jung discovered is far more chilling. The most dangerous person is not a stranger. It is someone you know, someone you trust, someone who doesn't even realize how much harm they carry inside them. The danger doesn't wear a monster's face. It wears the face of the familiar, the comforting, the ordinary. Because real danger often moves in silence. Jung spoke of the shadow, the hidden part of the human psyche, buried deep beyond awareness. It's the side that holds everything a person refuses to admit: jealousy, rage, cruelty, betrayal. They don't destroy it by ignoring it. They only make it stronger. And when a person lives blind to their own shadow, they become dangerous, not out of intention, but out of blindness. They hurt without realizing. They betray while believing they're loyal. They destroy while convinced they're saving. The more a person denies their darkness, the more it secretly controls them. And the more convinced they are that they're good, the more damage they can do. You expect danger to feel sharp, cold, obvious, but it doesn't. It feels like confusion. It feels like doubting yourself. It feels like walking into a room and feeling your energy drain without knowing why. You look into their eyes and you don't see a villain. You see a friend, a lover, a parent, a leader. And that's why it's so hard to recognize. Jung warned us. The people most possessed by their unacknowledged darkness are often the ones who seem the most righteous. The ones who believe they are only helping you. The ones who believe they could never be wrong. You cannot see the knife if it's hidden behind a hug. You cannot see the betrayal if it's dressed up as care. You cannot see the manipulation if it's disguised as love. And by the time you realize what's happening, the damage has already begun. This isn't to make you live in fear. It's to make you live with your eyes wide open. The most dangerous person is closer than you think, because the greatest danger hides behind the things you want to trust the most. But there are ways to recognize them, to see the invisible, signs before the shadow fully takes hold. In the next section, you'll learn how the shadow moves, how it speaks, how it traps, and how to finally protect yourself. The most dangerous threats don't shout, they whisper. At first, everything feels normal. They laugh at your jokes. They compliment your efforts. They offer help when you need it most. You tell yourself, how could this person ever hurt me? But that's how it begins. Because a person ruled by their unseen darkness doesn't attack from the front. They slowly rearrange the walls of your mind. They make you question your instincts. They plant tiny seeds of doubt, almost invisible at first. You second-guess your choices. You feel guilty for needing space. You wonder if you're imagining things. That's the language of the shadow. Not loud accusations, but subtle distortions of your inner compass. Carl Jung understood this better than anyone. The shadow doesn't just hide in acts of evil. It hides in the manipulation of trust, in the bending of truth, in the tiny fractures it causes inside the soul of another. It's not about what they say, it's how they say it. A slight hesitation when you express your dreams, a faint smile when you show vulnerability, an empty silence when you need encouragement the most. These are not accidents. They are unconscious betrayals, the shadow speaking without words. And if you aren't paying attention, you will spend years trapped inside a web spun from your own confusion. You'll tell yourself, they mean well. You'll excuse the gut feeling that something feels wrong. You'll hand over your trust, one thread at a time, until you wake up one day and realize you don't even recognize yourself anymore. The people who are most dangerous are not those who plan to harm you. It's those who have never faced their own darkness, because a person unaware of their shadow projects it onto everyone around them. Their silent anger becomes your guilt. Their hidden fears become your insecurity. Their inner chaos becomes your burden to carry. They will never say it out loud. They don't need to. Their shadow speaks fluently, through gestures, glances, silences, and sudden coldness, and if you're not careful, you'll start speaking its language too. You'll become so used to betrayal that you call it love. You'll become so numb to your instincts that you call it growth. This is why Jung insisted, awareness is your armor. You cannot fight a danger you refuse to see. You cannot protect yourself from a darkness you pretend doesn't exist. You must listen, not to the words, but to the space between them. In the next section, we'll uncover the hidden patterns that always reveal when a person's shadow has taken over, and how you can break free before it's too late. The first warning isn't a betrayal. It's a feeling you were taught to dismiss. You don't see it with your eyes at first. You feel it, like a ripple in your gut, a shift in the air when they enter the room. Something is off. You can't explain it. You brush it aside because you're afraid of seeming paranoid or ungrateful. But deep down, you know. Something sacred inside you is signaling danger. Carl Jung believed the unconscious mind speaks long before the conscious mind can understand. The body senses betrayal before the mind can name it. Your instincts pick up on what your logic cannot. The first sign? You start doubting your own emotions. You say you're tired. They tell you you're being dramatic. You share your dreams. They subtly laugh, questioning your ambitions. Tiny dismissals, small belittlements coded in humor or concern. It doesn't seem like much at first. A single drop of poison is easy to ignore. But over time, it adds up. You begin silencing yourself. You walk on eggshells without even realizing it. You adjust your truth just to keep the peace. And that's when the shadow starts winning. The second sign? You feel guilty for needing distance. Every healthy bond allows room for individuality. But a bond infected by the shadow suffocates growth. They don't say it outright, but you feel it. Their approval is conditional. Their love is earned, not given freely. The moment you try to reclaim your own space, you are made to feel selfish, cold, disloyal, and so you shrink. You suppress your voice. You abandon your instincts. You lose sight of your own boundaries, all in the name of preserving a connection that feels more and more hollow. The third sign? You start believing you are the problem. Whenever conflict arises, somehow it circles back to you. You're too sensitive. You overthink everything. You expect too much. And because you're compassionate, you believe it. You work harder to please. You sacrifice your needs. You exhaust yourself trying to be good enough, without realizing you were already whole to begin with. Jung warned that the person most trapped by their shadow will twist reality around them, not because they are evil, but because they are blind. They cannot accept their own flaws. They cannot confront their own darkness. So, they project it onto the ones closest to them, and if you stay unaware, you'll carry the weight of their unresolved pain as if it were your own. But once you see these signs clearly, you are no longer powerless. You can choose something different. You can reclaim what was quietly stolen. In the next section, we'll dive into the only way to truly protect yourself, the method Jung believed was the ultimate act of self-defense and self-respect. The greatest betrayal is not when others deceive you. It's when you abandon your own soul. When you realize that danger does not come loudly but silently, not in the form of enemies but friends, something inside you breaks open. You start to see with new eyes. You remember every moment you doubted yourself, every time you swallowed your voice, every time you sensed something was wrong, but stayed anyway. The awakening is brutal, but it is also your liberation. Carl Jung taught that the only real defense against the shadow in others is confronting the shadow within yourself first. Because the truth is harsh. You cannot protect yourself from darkness you refuse to see in yourself. You cannot recognize manipulation if you are still manipulating your own heart. You cannot see betrayal if you are still betraying your intuition. You cannot escape being controlled if you are still controlling your own truth to survive. Everything begins with facing your own hidden self. Step 1. Turning inward. No matter how painful, you must be willing to see all the parts of yourself you were taught to hide, the jealousy you feel but never admit, the anger you bury but never resolve, the envy, the bitterness, the desire for revenge, all the feelings you were told were bad, shameful, wrong. These parts of you do not make you evil. They make you human. But when you repress them, when you lock them away in the dungeon of your mind, they don't disappear. They fester. They grow claws in the dark. And then, when you meet someone else's hidden shadow, you won't see it. Because you haven't dared to look at your own. To protect yourself from others' unconscious darkness, you must first stop being unconscious to your own. You must sit in the discomfort. You must let your darkness rise into the light without judging it. You must realize, I am capable of cruelty. I am capable of betrayal. I am capable of harm, not to indulge in it, but to own it, fully, consciously, fiercely. Only then can you choose something different. Only then can you see clearly when someone else has refused to do the same. Step 2. Reclaiming the voice. You silenced. Once you have faced your own darkness, you reclaim the power others once used against you. You stop second-guessing your instincts. You stop needing endless proof to trust your feelings. You stop asking for permission to protect yourself. You begin to trust the subtle shifts in energy, the tone behind the words, the tension behind the smile. You no longer need someone to hurt you twice before you believe it the first time. You understand that loyalty to yourself comes before loyalty to anyone else. You realize, my safety is not negotiable. My peace is not a luxury. My intuition is not a flaw. You speak when something feels wrong, even if your voice shakes. You leave when a connection demands you abandon yourself to keep it alive. You stop explaining your boundaries. You start enforcing them. This is the shield Jung was pointing to. Not walls built from fear, but walls built from self-awareness. You don't close your heart to love. You just refuse to love anyone at the cost of losing yourself again. Step 3. Recognizing. The red flags, without needing drama, once your own shadow has been brought into the light. You no longer attract relationships that thrive on denial and manipulation. You see the signs without needing drama to confirm them. You notice the casual cruelty hidden in jokes. You sense the subtle competition masked as friendship. You feel the silent resentment disguised as loyalty. You walk away from emotional traps, not with rage, but with certainty. You don't argue with people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't plead for respect from those who cannot respect themselves. You don't chase the ones who make you feel unworthy just for existing. You don't need closure. You are the closure. You don't need revenge. You are the ending. You don't need to expose them. The truth exposes itself when you stop feeding the lie. Step 4. Living without fear even when darkness knocks again. Even after awakening, you will still encounter people ruled by their unexamined shadow. They will come cloaked in charm. They will speak the language of wounded innocence. They will offer exactly what your old wounds still secretly crave. But now you see, you feel the wrongness, not as confusion but as clarity. You no longer negotiate with the darkness to stay loved. You choose yourself, fully, fiercely, without apology. And this terrifies the shadow-possessed, because they cannot control what they cannot confuse. They cannot drain what they cannot guilt. They cannot destroy what they can no longer reach. You become unbreakable, not because you are hard, but because you are whole. Not because you hate others, but because you finally love yourself enough to stay awake. And this is the ultimate act of rebellion, to live in a world of manipulation and still choose authenticity, to walk among the blind and still choose to see, to meet darkness not with fear, but with a fierce, radiant knowing, the final truth. It was never about them. In the end, you realize it was never about protecting yourself from them. It was about protecting yourself from betraying yourself. The most dangerous person is not the one who hides their darkness from you. It's the one who makes you hide your light from yourself. You survived them not by fighting harder, but by loving yourself deeper. You saw the shadow. You faced it. You named it. And by doing so, you reclaimed your life. Jung's final lesson wasn't about fearing others. It was about fearing the slow, silent death that happens when you stop trusting your soul. It was about realizing no one has the right to steal your light. No one has the right to turn your truth against you. No one has the right to make you abandon yourself, not even under the name of love. And the moment you choose your soul over their approval, you are free. And so I leave you with this. In a world that profits from your blindness, the most dangerous thing you can ever do is to truly finally see.